All righty. So, hi, Larry. So, what's up?
So what's going on? So how do you feel now
I,
after you read the message, or you've heard the message that I know you've heard a couple times? How do you feel now
I feel good.
about
I love. I
being
love.
an authority?
No, I definitely do not want to be an authority. I don't want anyone knocking on my door and saying you said blah blah blah. No.
You mean to tell me that you don't want anyone to send in a little text message or under comments? They're not going to say anything like, "What gives with you too?"
Hey, they can say what they want.
Yeah.
I'm just getting the message out there like I was asked to do.
Just let them flow, right?
I'm letting them flow.
Excellent. That's excellent.
I never know what's going to come through.
That's it. It's not our message, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So everyone has that straight. It's not our message.
Yes, we did not make these messages up.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today? Where do we leave off? Yes, there's chaos in the world.
How so? What do you think? Besides the COVID-19, whatever.
I don't even
Yeah.
know. I don't even know what to make of it anymore. I'm just so sick of hearing about it. We've got COVID, we've got elections, we've got people that hate each other's guts on both sides. It's ugh. You can't make any sense of it anymore.
See, so now you understand when I say that when you are not a part of that whole thing, all right, you don't feel any of that election stuff at all. So it's just really the covert we have to deal with.
COVID.
COVID. That we have to
It's
deal with,
COVID-19 to be exact.
Yeah. Or as our leader says, the China thing.
The China thing, yeah.
It's on the Chinese, not on us.
Well, how are you dealing with the whole COVID thing? I mean, sometimes I forget that it's even going on. I mean, if I didn't watch the news,
Well,
I would think everything is hunky-dory.
that would do it for you
until
if you watch the news.
until I see my grandson who's wearing a mask, and that's kind of depressing to me.
Why is that?
It just feels like it shouldn't be. It's just sad that they're growing up in a different world. I mean, because I thought our childhood was pretty nice, and then to see your little grandson having to wear a mask, it's just weird.
So the only thing I did catch was and
Kamala Harris.
They both come out and made a statement about people wearing masks. Everybody should wear a mask when you're out, and then they walked off the stage with no questions, which means so every time you're out, we should all be wearing them, or what are you saying? And her statement was, that's leadership. I thought that was humorous.
Oh, God.
No questions. You heard what we said. Put them on and walk
Just
around.
do it. So what do you want to talk about today?
So I was basically saying that this whole entire thing is, the biggest thing about it is, and what Jimmy had so eloquently says, everybody's forgot about inner peace. Everybody's forgot about bring your fear levels down. The fear level is skyrocketing, and the networks are loving to kind of ramp it up.
Oh, yeah.
To fear.
And what are the messages that I've gotten for years? Live your life free of fear.
Yeah, exactly. I put out a post this week, sometime this week, and I was basically saying,
on your new Facebook page?
Yes.
Larry's got a Facebook page. And
page.
you know what? I did a screenshot of that little quote you put up.
Which I put up, I think I put up 4 of them, but one of them was basically about this whole entire, I was basically saying, if you take the number of people that have died from this makes this a pandemic here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the number of people who've died from alcoholism, and the people who've died
opioids,
or the people who have died from overdoses, the numbers are exactly the same. Yet one's a pandemic and one's ignored as if it's not.
And what about Lyme disease?
I don't know how many people have died.
They've totally forgotten about Lyme disease, and
I don't know what
people
the
are
numbers are.
constantly getting Lyme disease, especially in our area.
Yeah, but I don't know what the numbers are. So, I mean, I was comparing numbers to numbers,
Okay.
basically, and seeing if they were, this has become a big pandemic, and it's out there because of the volume of people that are dying.
Uh-huh.
And then numbers are identical.
Wow.
It's about 160,000 across the board.
Huh.
So one's a pandemic and one's not, which is kind of funny
Yeah.
or strange.
It's not funny.
It's strange how that is. So
Oh.
yeah. So yes, I am back on Facebook, and after
Oh, I didn't think you were ever on Facebook.
like 14 years ago.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
when it first started or whatever, I was on it. And then I was like, why are you on this? Get off.
Get off.
Stop. Yeah, and that was it.
All right, well, tell us why you're on this.
I'm on it because of the book that I wrote, and learning about social media and getting back on that and kind of spreading the word. So
This is going to be a big learning experience for both of us.
it has been already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been.
If we
already.
could just
Yeah.
learn how to use that stuff over there, we'll be all set. So people are just going to have to bear with us. We'll get it all together.
Yeah, it's going well. It's working now, I think. Stay focused.
Of course, I keep kicking the table, so everything's going to be like, ugh.
I wouldn't worry about the table, the breathing, nothing.
Okay.
Just be you.
See, I'm new at this whole podcast thing. Larry knows. Larry,
You're as new as I am. What are you talking about?
yeah, but you watch them. I don't. Or you listen to them.
Oh.
Larry,
So your son Josh was right. Is that what
every
you're saying?
every time I walk by your hot hut, your heat hut, or whatever,
Something's going
your
on there.
oven, I hear
Yeah.
somebody chit-chatting in there, and it's not you.
Yep.
You're listening to something.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I always have something going on. So I can move about and do things, and it's in the background, and it's never the news, I can tell you that.
yeah. Okay.
So,
All right. So let's talk about what you've been up to the last 10, 15 years.
so the 10 or 15 years,
How about whatever? So tell us how you got on the path.
I got on the path, not knowing that I was getting on a path, and that this was a calling for me, or something that I would be pursuing. I was just kind of living my life, and it was interesting because my mother and father were both raised in the church, and my father was a minister, my mother's father was a minister, so that had always been, and as a young boy,
So you were always dragged to church.
we spent time in church. Yeah,
A lot of time.
Church would start at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And when we got home, Ed Sullivan was on, which was about
Really?
7. Which was about 7 o'clock. Yeah,
So Sunday was an all-day
all day
church
affair.
event.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
All right. Did you absolutely hate every minute of it?
No, I didn't hate every minute of it, but I always wondered what we were doing in the long term.
Okay.
And
Now, did you bitch and moan to your parents every Sunday, or was it?
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. See, we
No.
we were
No.
not good doobies.
No,
we were
weren't-
not.
we
We
weren't-
bitched and moaned.
Yeah.
We were sick.
Oh,
We
no.
couldn't get out of bed.
No.
We didn't want to go. We tried to bargain with my mother, and she would she would say, "Nope, you're going. That's all there is to it. I think we hated getting all dressed up for church. I think
Yeah.
that was it. But then she'd sweeten it with a jelly donut if we went. So
We weren't
But-
even allowed to lean over in the pews and start to doze off. That wasn't allowed.
really,
Yeah, because mother and father were both in the choir, and they would eyeball you from the choir and be like, "What are you doing?
really.
Yeah, you better not be falling asleep." Yeah,
Now, did
And
you
we would
did
snap
you
too.
understand what was even going on?
yeah, pretty much. We went to Sunday school first, and then they had the church, stuff like that. And I said that there was always odd things going on in the church. I thought
Yeah.
a lot of collections.
Oh,
I went to an all black church, obviously. So
But you said that they had a white Jesus.
they did have one white person in the church, and that was Jesus. And he wasn't in good shape because he was on the cross, bleeding, and that was a little spooky,
Yeah.
from a child looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on. And then there was the whole fear factor that was involved in church about going to hell or following the path.
Right.
And I was sitting there thinking
the path
to myself,
is very narrow. I remember hearing that.
I was always thinking to myself, well, I want to follow this path, but can I wait till I'm 22? Do you know what I mean? I'm 4. Can I maybe fool around and play for a little bit before I have to get serious?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. What age is it okay to get to straighten up?
Yeah.
After I've had some fun, because I was
Right.
planning on having fun. That was my goal as at a 4-year-old.
Right.
Where you're gonna be in the next 4 years having fun.
Fun.
Yeah, hopefully. And then they send you to school. Ruins the fun. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was our whole church experience. So people had always said to me, "Oh, you'll be just like your dad." And I used to be horrified. I was like, I'm not going to be a minister, and I'm not going down that path.
No.
And it was like a shocking thing.
I mean, did your father expect you to go down that path?
No.
Oh,
No.
he didn't. Okay.
No.
So that was his calling. You had another calling.
That became his calling, which is something we could talk about sometime because it was an interesting calling. He told us about this calling that happened at our home. Once again, we were young.
Yeah, tell us that story.
We were young kids, so my father was sleeping, and he snored really bad. So my mother
kind of like you.
I can snore. Yeah, I can cut into it.
I can snore too.
But my mother would get out of the bed always and either go sleep on the couch or
Right.
But she would get up all the time. So one night she did get up, and she went into the bathroom, which is down the hall from the bedroom.
Yeah.
And she didn't close the door all the way, so the light was coming down the hallway.
Right.
And my father was laying in bed and noticed that she got up and had looked down the hallway and saw the light and was getting ready to, go doze back off and get his snore back on. And he saw what he described as smoke coming down the hallway. And he was like into
like a spirit.
Well, no, he saw smoke like a fire was in the house.
He thought it was a fire. Okay.
Fire was in the house, and he basically was like went into a panic.
Yeah.
And was trying to call my mother.
Right.
But no words are coming out of his mouth, and he was like trying to say, Delita.
You know what that's called? They call that phantomania.
Phantomania?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was his state at that point, and he was trying to warn her that there was a fire. And as the smoke got further down the hall and closer to him,
yeah,
that behind the smoke there was what he described as the Mother Mary, floating down in the smoke with this big gold cross, and it went past the bathroom and came right up to the bed where he was, bent over him a couple times, and then floated back. And when it got past the bathroom door, my mother walked out the door towards him.
Wow.
So he told us this story, and of course, at our young age, we're thinking of ghosts in the house. There are ghosts in this house.
Yeah.
And the next couple of nights, sleeping was a little tricky because one eye was open. But that became his calling into ministry.
Really?
And then he went to school and everything for it and became a minister.
Wow.
So I didn't see that as my path in any way.
No.
And I had went off from there to get ready to go to college. I figured after I graduated, I'd stick around and play tennis. I
didn't know you played tennis.
Yeah, I played some tennis. Take the half of the year off. Maybe in January, I'll think about going to college after, I was done with school for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I wanted a little break
Right.
and try to get some more fun in before I got serious
Right.
once again. So,
All right. Now, what was fun for you back then?
I mean, I played sports and everything, so it was just being out with my friends and
Hanging with the cronies.
yep, running through the woods and just kind of, enjoying life. Not really thinking of all the serious stuff that's going on in the world.
Right.
So that was how I kind of saw the world at that time. That's what I was into. And when I went off to school, because for Christmas, my parents were like, "Well, you're not going to be hanging around the house, having a good time all the time. So
Yeah.
we're going to buy you a bunch of gifts for Christmas."
Yeah.
And the Christmas tree was loaded with these big boxes and stuff of
Yeah.
things for me. And I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah. What
It
were
was luggage. So January, I went off to school.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
no
You're
ifs,
going.
ands, buts about it. When I went to school, one of the educations I got was to get into the drug world
Oh.
because I had a roommate that was a drug dealer.
Oh, great.
yeah.
That's
My
every parent's worst nightmare.
my first night was sleeping in there was 2 bunk beds, and I had a top bunk.
Yeah.
So I got myself settled. My other roommates had been living there
Yeah.
for the whole other semester. So I was a newbie. So I would figure I just settled in, go to school in the morning, and start my freshman year.
Yeah.
And I got in bed, and as the night went on, my third roommate came home, and they all proceeded to smoke.
A little ganja.
All the smoke was rising, and I was up top going, but that didn't help much.
You started like this, and then you were like this.
Yeah. So, because I was in school, I never smoked or anything like that at all. So it was,
You never smoked
in
pot
high school.
in high school?
No. A
Really?
little bit of alcohol, but no.
That was
No
it,
drugs.
huh?
No drugs at all.
Oh my God!
I
My
was
high
a-
school, we tried everything. You name it, we tried it.
I was an athlete, so I was like,
I was an athlete too,
it was
sort
all
of, kind of.
It was all straight and narrow, and one of my friends used to always tell me, so well, you'll change when you get to college. So it happened first night, and then the first morning was waking up kind of in a fog
Oh boy!
from my first day of school, and so school would have stuff like that, and then as things happened, and you went through the stressors of going to school and all the kind of stuff, and learning how to deal. I basically got caught up in the drug scene and experimenting with everything, anything under the sun we would try, and
Sounds familiar.
yeah, we would try everything. We did some mushrooms once, and like 4 of us, we went to a matinee, which was The Empire Strikes Back on mushrooms,
Oh boy!
and
How was that?
I got to know Yoda personally, for one, and yeah, you have to picture a matinee with all the little kids watching Star Wars,
Yeah.
and there's 4 adults with the flashlights on them as we're going with the ships. Whoa! We're rocking with the ships, and they're flashing the lights on us and everything. So
Yeah.
it was an experience, yeah.
Yeah.
But we, like I said, we were trying all kinds of things back then.
Yeah.
And nothing that really kind of got me hung up or caught up until basically after I had gotten out of school and was trying to get back into the world of working and all that kind of stuff.
Now,
And,
what did you graduate with?
I didn't actually, because basically we had spent our school money that we had left over on like amplifiers and things we
Oh, okay.
wanted, things that we wanted, and we thought that were really important.
So, did you go to class at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Oh yeah. I went through all that, and but when it came to being in debt and landlords climbing through your windows to talk to you and stuff like that, yeah.
Really?
We act like we weren't home, and yeah,
Wow.
they would come through the window or whatever. So you had to get income going.
Right.
So that became a big integral part of our life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, when things went sour and went bad, I basically became homeless at one point during the winter.
So you're out of school now, and you're just
Correct.
You're
Now
just
now
living in an apartment.
I'm scrambling to have somewhere to live, basically.
Okay.
And when I didn't have an apartment, I still had my car that was running at the time. So you would turn your car on in the winter and let it run at night
Yeah.
for a while while it warmed up, and then turn it off and go to sleep. And that was my experience at the time. But when things got really, really bad, I had, make a long story short, I had went to a bar. I was coming out of the bar with another person that was going to turn me on to crack cocaine. And this lady that happened to live in the hood basically looked at me and said, "So you're going to take a walk with the devil?" And she shook her head, and I didn't know what she meant. And I found out what she meant, and it became a nightmare. It became an absolute nightmare.
And did your parents know any of this stuff was going on?
I could have always went back home. And there's a part of me that said, you put yourself here.
Yeah.
You got to get yourself out. So there's no going home. So I had basically lived homeless twice in my life.
Yeah.
And kind of struggled through that and got through that. And was just at a loss. Things that I tried to succeed at, I thought I would fail at. Mm-hmm. And life was kind of going in that direction, basically.
Right.
And I got into heavy drug use with crack cocaine, and was using. The best way to measure it is that if you went to the bank, you could withdraw $300 out a day before they cut you off, and then you could wait till 12 o'clock midnight and start again. So,
and you had that kind of money in your account to be able to do that?
I was working. I was working to try to keep myself from being homeless. So
where were you working at the time? I
was working at some restaurant somewhere. I can't remember.
So every dime you made went to your habit.
At some point, yeah. At some point, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I'm leaving out. I mean, I got married somewhere along the way and everything. Who knows how all that happened? So, and she would basically not bring a dime home, because if she brought it home, I would spend it, or I'd find a way. I would do some absolutely crazy thing. Yeah. So the journey basically, and a lot of people look at that and say, "Oh my God, that was horrible." You know, that must have been a really bad time of your life. But it's really like, for me, it was like taking a college course.
Yeah, the school of life, the school of hard knocks,
the living in the street, living, that way, and
exactly
learning about drugs from actual having them in your body, and what the different ones were. Yeah. For example, cocaine. I was using that that would just take up all your money, and one day.
And what was the feeling you got when you were on it?
Euphoria. You just felt.
And were you always chasing that euphoria? Is that what?
Depending on which drug you were using, yeah. I mean, there was uppers, there were downers, there was all different things that we were using.
The crack cocaine, how long did that?
Well, the crack cocaine was it's basically a 30-second high.
That's it.
That's really high. And then as it's going away,
So is it kind of like an orgasm type of thing almost?
I can't even say that it was like that at all. No. It's just you get this euphoria, really, really high.
Yeah.
And then you spend your rest of the day trying to chase that high.
When you say trying to chase it, do you mean smoking a little more? Smoking?
You wanted to feel that way again.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first got a really good hit of some really good stuff, you would feel fantastic. And you'd be like, oh, this is it. This is kind of pretty similar to doing heroin. When you do heroin, you get this feeling of, this is the best. This is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Have you ever done that too? You've done that too?
I tried just about every dragon you could dance with.
That's a good way. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I danced with every
my.
single one of them. Cocaine itself, I stopped because of people that remember Len Bias. Len Bias died.
Len Bias,
He was a basketball player going to go, and he got drafted to the Celtics.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be the best basketball player ever,
yeah.
and he played with some cocaine that night, and heart stopped, died, and I was like, okay, I won't be doing that one again because I really didn't want to die that way.
Right.
So I just happened to cut that out. But the other drugs that I had too, I was able to cut them out just like that. Just cut them off when I didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay. Well, were they drugs that weren't that addictive, and maybe that
No,
it was
they
easy?
were addictive. It's just what do you like? You know, what's your
Okay,
thing?
so
What do you like?
you pretty much streamlined your use to
Um,
to one drug.
Not at that point. Yeah, that was
Okay.
that was everything.
Well, that was kind of like me dabbling in all the the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, so it became
I
everything.
kind of streamlined to what
Yeah.
I'm doing now.
Yeah, it became everything. And it was like this is the drug for me, and it kind of I realized I was out of control.
All right, now which drug is
yeah.
this? This is
Crack cocaine.
The crack cocaine. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference between crack cocaine and cocaine?
So cocaine comes from the coca plant, and you basically was sold for like nightclubs.
Is that what people are
Hollywood,
snorting? You
you're
see somebody
snorting
put
it.
it in their fingernail and
Yeah,
do
you're
that?
snorting it. There are lines on the bar, lines everywhere.
Like Tony Monsanto from Scarface.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
regular cocaine.
that's regular cocaine.
Okay.
And then crack cocaine was it's cocaine, but you cook it basically. It's cooked down, and
So you smoke it in a pipe?
you're smoking it in a pipe and stuff like that. So you're getting like a blast of Coke for like $5 rather than buying $100 worth of Coke. You can buy little $5 bags and you take these little hits, but it was actually made so that once you start using, that it gets more and more aggressive and you really can't get off of it. So that was yeah.
Wow.
So after all this experimentation, it became the drug of choice, as they call that.
Yeah.
And I was just like running with it as often as I possibly could, every single day.
And you're still married at this point?
I was married. My wife had no idea what I was doing. She was from Hungary, and bless her soul, she had no idea what I was doing. She just knew that if she brought money into the house, I
Right.
would find it and it'll disappear.
And she never asked, like, what the hell are you spending this money on? She had no idea.
No, she didn't know anything about drugs whatsoever.
All right. So, but at this point, you must have had a job and you were bringing money home and paying bills and doing
I
all that
was
stuff.
paying bills. I was stealing. You name every ugly thing you could possibly do, I was doing.
Okay.
I was surviving.
All right.
that
So
way.
you were not the kind of guy that a woman wants as a husband. Pretty
No,
much.
No. Or
You
anyone
are
wants,
a nightmare.
the only plus is that I decided to do it by myself, so I didn't get other people involved in my habit. So
Okay.
I was kind of a loner with it. A lot of people said, "Oh, I remember you when you used." That's tricky because I used by myself.
Okay.
You know what I
So
mean?
it's usually a group event?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's looking out for everybody else, yeah. So, so living that life and stuff like that, and I had always said my father had passed away at this point, and I would literally say things like, "Dad, I know you're watching me," as I'm going to go cop.
Yeah.
I said, "This really isn't who I am. It's not who I'm going to be."
Yeah.
And I would do that, and I would be walking in a building, sitting there getting my stuff,
Yeah.
and something would tell me to get out now. Just get out now. And I would leave right then. And as I get around the corner and I'm walking, I'd watch people walking in with guns walking into the building. And I would see that, and I'd be like,
That was probably your dad.
I was saying, "Thank you, Dad."
Yeah.
Every single time.
Right.
Or I would be driving down the road, and I would be taking a left, and something would say, "Go right." And I turn and go right,
Well, that's good. That's
Cops-
good. At least you were listening.
and the cops are going left. So
Wow.
I was having these little things, and so I always knew that there was an opportunity that
Did you ever get arrested?
I
During
got
this?
arrested. Yeah, I got arrested copying once.
What did they do with
that was
you?
it.
What did they do to you? A little slap on the wrist?
Well, for me, my experience was that they put me in the cell with the people that I was copying from, and then they took us out one by one and wanted us to rat on each other. And I was like, I'm not ratting on the guys that you stuck me in the cell with. What
Yeah.
are you crazy?
Yeah, what are you, crazy? They're going to kill me.
What are you crazy? I don't know these guys that well. So so that was kind of the experience. And anyways, I had gotten really wrapped up in that world and was living like that. One night, my heart was pounding out of my chest, and I really thought I was going to die. So I decided that I would go to a hospital. So I went to a hospital that I thought was, a hospital that was actually, I was in the city of Derby.
Oh, I know Derby.
You know Derby?
I used to live in Shelton.
Yeah. Well, so
That's
I went to this hospital that was there, and the hospital that I thought that it was is actually in Wallingford. So, but when you're that high,
Was it a place where you could go dry out? Is that what you thought you were going to?
I just
a
figured
rehab place?
I figured I went to a hospital.
Yeah.
They're going to take me in. I mean, I couldn't go into like a rehab or a program because I was living with my wife,
Yeah.
and that we were just barely surviving
Okay.
with the money that she could maintain and pay all the bills with.
Right.
So that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So at this point, I said, I need help. And every addict gets a window where they just need help right now,
Yeah.
right? And when that happens, you need help at the moment. So when I went to the hospital, that was the moment. I was like, if you don't save me right now, I'm going to die out there.
Yeah.
My heart's pounding out of my chest.
Wow.
And they basically said, well, hold on. She went in the back, and she came back with a business card. This was a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And she hands me the card and says, so, Monday morning, if you come in and bring this card, this person will be here, and they'll be able to help you. And I'm saying to myself,
That's if my heart's still beating.
I said, in an hour, I'm getting high again.
Jeez.
So I was like, how, if you need help right now, where do you go immediately?
Right.
And since there wasn't a place at that point, I decided that I would create a place that could happen.
Really?
And that's when this journey of having a calling all started. The idea of that was there. And then it was topped with my oldest sister. I confessed to her what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I confided in her in a lot of things, and I had confided in her that this was what I was doing, and she told me, "Oh my God, crack cocaine!
Why?
That's the drug that they invented to flood the poverty areas of each city and get people hooked on this drug forever. Once you're on it," she said, "you could never get off."
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and the changeover basically happened where my sister had told me that, and I was like, how can you tell me? How can you possibly tell me who I'm going to be later?
Mm-hmm.
How can someone look into somebody else and know that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know
It's
you're...
just like what you told Jimmy upstairs about his friend's son,
Oh,
daughter.
yeah.
Same
I
thing.
was like, how can you look at someone you can't?
Right.
Because there's no way of knowing.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm going to prove that wrong. And at that time when she said that, I decided that I'd walk away from my drug habit. So instead of copying drugs at night, I would drive down to the beach, down to the waters. I'm living in Milford at the time. And I would sit there and meditate. And of course, I would be eaten by mosquitoes. They were horrendous.
Now, were you meditating before all this?
No. I just
So you
wanted
just
to
decided you just went
I
down
just
there and
figured-
closed your eyes and
close
just,
my eyes, get quiet, and listen. What I was listening for, I have no idea. But I just knew
Well, a
that.
lot of people think when they meditate they're doing it so they can hear something, but
But
some do.
I was just listening, and basically what I would really hear was the water going in, the water going out, the water going
And a
in,
little
the water
mosquito
going
going.
out.
"Zzz."
After about a month of that, the mosquitoes kind of stopped.
Mhm.
They just didn't bother me anymore, and I would just sit there, and watch the sun come up. I remember after a certain period of time that I was doing it, my wife thought I was still out using, and I invited her to watch the sun come up. So she came out there with me, and we sat, and it was overcast. She decided she'd never go out there again and sit.
Was she eaten alive too?
She was eaten alive. She was eaten alive. And
She's like, you're
She
going
was
at it
like-
by yourself, buddy.
she was like, F this. I'm
Yeah.
not doing this again. But I continued, and things just started coming to me. I can't really say how or if I heard something.
Like psychic things, like
I just
Knowing?
started. I just had some knowings, and anything that I picked up to read had something to do with what I was doing, and I started to study the brain, and I started to study spirituality, and it just became my obsession. So I had left.
I know that obsession well.
I had left one obsession for another one.
Yep.
And I was just like, I want to know everything about the body, everything about the mind, everything about that. And then I wanted to start proving things. Like people would say to me, never go to where you used to cop. never ever do that.
Well, that's like telling an alcoholic, don't go to a bar.
Correct.
Don't be around people that
And I
that-
would say-
that drink.
So I would literally, after I'd been probably clean for about a year on my own, because I stopped that first night and hadn't picked up again. Stuff that happens that people are always worried about is withdrawal. And you realize right away that withdrawal is your body trying to get back to normal. So instead of hating that feeling,
freaking out about
you
it.
embrace the feeling.
Right.
It's like my body's trying to get back to normal. This is what it takes.
Right.
And I would drive to the places I used to cop,
Yeah.
and I would just sit there all day.
Really.
Yeah, it
Did
was so long ago. People would say, "Are you straight?" Because that's the language they used then.
Yeah.
You know, and I would just say, "Yeah," which meant I'm good. I got everything I need, and I would just sit there all day. And at the end of the day, I would check that off. Like, well, that's not true. And I check it off. Literally check it off. That's not true. Then they told me, oh, never use the drug again, because once you use it, you're right back on where you left off.
Yeah.
And so after about a year, I went out and I bought $100 worth of crack cocaine.
Really.
And I went home, sat down, packed as much as I possibly could into a pipe, took the biggest blast I could take, felt that buzz, felt that whole thing,
Yeah.
took the rest of it and flushed it down the toilet. Check that
Check
one
that
off.
off your list.
Check out the list. That's not true. People, places, and things. There's nowhere you can go on the planet where there aren't people, places, and things.
Right. True.
So you check that off. So everything in now is what is true and what isn't true. And it became that type of journey.
Yeah.
Is to figure out what is true and what isn't true. And that just became my calling. So,
Awesome.
yep, that's a shortened version of the nitty gritty.
Is it
as
kind of
they
like
say.
takes one to know one? Kinda?
You know,
I mean,
when I started actually doing work, and working with other people, I found it to be very helpful.
Yeah, I would think it would be because
that when you look someone in the eyes and you tell them
Yeah.
that you understand what they're talking about
Exactly.
and what they were feeling,
Exactly.
they can relate to you because they know that you understand what it feels like.
Yeah.
to have the withdrawal, to have all those things happening to you,
Right.
and the cravings and the wants and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
from each drug. So yeah, it became a strength, actually, and people could relate to you and know that you're telling them the absolute truth,
Yeah.
and that you could feel what they were feeling. Because
Awesome.
because if not, then someone says, "Oh, I understand," and they're like, "No, you don't."
Yeah. Have you ever done drugs?
No,
How could you possibly understand?
Yeah, no, you don't. Not tell me that you read about it, because it's different
Yeah.
than
It's
actually
definitely
doing
different.
it. Yeah, so, but that became my calling, and it's been an amazing ride ever since.
Well, next time we'll have to talk about your book.
We shall, absolutely.
All righty.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. It was great to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Well, sorry we had a rough start here, but we each had a big.
We always have rough starts. It's
yeah,
great.
each had a big bowl, a big plate of
We're
spaghetti,
the- we're
spaghetti
the-
and meatballs.
We're
so,
the rough start. We're the rough start kids. So, that's
so we're
okay.
gonna have some audio, some video. You're just never gonna know what you have with us. Okay. All right. So we'll see you next week.
Excellent. Next week,
And
we'll read the message and move on.
yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent. The date that Lisa and I received this message was January 17th, 2019. It's labeled Humbleness. I'm a little worried about being viewed as an authority on God and the angels. And I guess God was listening to my concerns. I guess I was voicing my concerns to Lisa. This is the message that we received. I want those of you listening to understand that there is no human being on earth that is an expert or that is all-knowing when talking about the world of the unseen. There will always be a mystery behind what is on the other side. Those that consider themselves experts are also saying they are done learning. I do not want the experts to be the ones telling my children what I am saying to them in their words. I want those who have not been formally trained to embellish what I say or say it in a way they think I would say it. Too many have tried to put labels on me and blame me for all the wrongs in the world. I give you all the gift of free will and the gift of life to live as you please. I want to be looked upon as one God for all. The separation is caused by man's interpretation of who I am and how I run the world or universe. I don't, you do. That is my gift to you. I am one God, I am love. I am here for all, even those who don't believe I am here. When questions are asked, I will answer them. The messages will be for all. No matter what religion you are all alike, and every soul is equal. It is humans that believe one is better than the other. It is an illusion. Those that may seem like the least among you are your greatest teachers. I want to always touch on the importance of love and oneness. You are all one. Even though you may strive to be different from the rest, you are not. It is all your costume. It is who you are portraying in this lifetime. So don't allow yourselves to be fixated on who it is you are projecting to the world. To me, you are pure love, and nothing more or less. Pure perfection. You can never become better. You are perfect always. I want to also tell my children that your individual lifetimes serve one purpose, and that is to know me through all that you experience in life. You will find me in all you do. You will experience many emotions that will pull you away from me, and many that will bring you back. It is in this ebb and flow of life that you will find me through your relationships with your fellow human beings. I welcome all to love. I welcome all to get to know me through these podcasts.